in my case, I think that there's a desire to collaborate and to create a collaborative mindset always kind of in the background of what I'm doing. And I think with the visual arts especially, it can be very insular, and people can be very, they can work in isolation happily and very effectively and wonderfully. But that causes issues when we want to have, when we want to advocate for ourselves. Easy peasy, like we are like, okay, we need more funding, or we need more art spaces, and how do we demand it if nobody's talking and nobody's communicating? So I think from the point of collaborative thinking, I think that it kind of permeates everything that I do. So an example, if I'm thinking about advocacy, I'm always thinking about getting people to come together towards a common goal, right? A common objective. But then if I'm working towards creating a mural and I'm serving a community and I'm doing something in public, I also want to understand who these people are. So I want to talk to people. I want to have conversations. I want them to tell me what they want. So I think that's always a really important piece for me when I'm creating my work, especially if it's public, of understanding what people need and want and are lacking sometimes.
We don't all necessarily have to be doing the same thing in order to create the tapestry that creates sustainability. So, I think of intersectionality, I think of just the stories of zero-sum games, that are often just like put out there, that there's no way, there are just not enough resources to go around, and inevitably like someone's gonna have to lose out. And I just truly, truly believe that that's not true, because bottom line, especially as creatives, we have the creative capacity to not only find the resources, but honestly to reframe what a resource means, right? Because if I'm needing one thing and you're needing another thing, what we're calling a resource is potentially looking very different, and the way that we're using it might be very different.
I think that one of the roles of art in advocacy, and also I feel like a lot of my advocacy is going towards this larger thing of like revolutionizing the world, like a revolution, broadly speaking. And I think that one of the roles of art within that is to envision and actually like physically envision what that new world would look like. I think that is art. Art is designing new spaces, and that is such a big part of what advocacy and what like abolitionist work is.
Art is a great way to sort of tell the stories of what's happening right now. And so without art, we would not know how to move forward. We would not know where we've been. So art is essential in our ability to understand ourselves ourselves and our history as a full human race. And so the art played a really big role in hopefully allowing us not to repeat the sins of the past, and allow us to do better by each other each and every day.
I really see my platform as an artist in really speaking truth to power, and really also working directly with communities, my own community, so that people see themselves in it and see themselves kind of reflected in the narrative that I want to put out publicly.
Midday Movement is an initiative that's cultivating a new generation of dance leaders, and one of the sort of fundamental ideas that we teach our teachers is that they actually do have the power to make a difference. Just because I think that there is so much stock in our society put into the idea that we are powerless, or that we have to wait for someone else to help us or to give us the things that we need. And in actuality, I think that we have a tremendous amount of power, but we just are taught to wait. We're taught to wait for the bathroom pass, wait for the hall pass, to not listen to ourselves and our own authority.
When we think about the connection between art and advocacy, I think that it's sort of, art has always been a form of protest, whether we think of protest songs during war, or we think of Shakespeare sort of using art to mock the royals. Art has always been a way to sort of poke holes in people's fallacies of themselves, right? And not just people, but governments, regimes, right? When we look at oppressive cultures or oppressive regimes, the first thing that goes is the way in which we're allowed to express ourselves. When art is being its best version in terms of using it for advocacy, it is free and free to just show the truth in a way that I think allows us to sort of rethink the ways in which we've been existing and moving and acting on behalf of each other. Art is always a wonderful tool to sort of dramatize and sort of point out something that we wouldn't have noticed.
I have done a lot of advocacy. I say this like as almost a previous life, my life in Brazil, where I somehow found peers and people that had the same interests in advocating for the arts, and all our concerns were very much in line with accessibility, decolonization of spaces, and the mentality behind the art spaces and the access to art, right? Flipping that idea that it is an exclusive world to know it's for everyone and anyone.
In my background, you see this mural is titled Community in Action, a mural for the Vietnamese people. And I came about this really project in a really community organizing way. I wanted to create a public art right in my neighborhood of Dorchester that really reflected the local stories and that really collaborate with local talent. It was very much a collaborative, intergenerational group effort that bring together really my neighbors, local resident to speak directly to the Vietnamese American diaspora narrative that talks about issues of hope and a theme for a brighter future.
And I think another big part of the overlap of advocacy and art is the community piece, and whether that be like building community through art making, which is a huge part of it, or just like uniting people through art. Like art is such a powerful tool for that, and I think that I see the future of art as like being a central piece of a world in which we all are caring for each other.
When I think about art, I think about advocacy. At the end of the day, it's about connecting people who don't come from the same world, from the same upbringing, even from the same thought process or action process or love language, right? It's about sort of connecting people beyond the physical and into the spiritual.
I also think that disarming people right now is really important because everyone's really tired for many reasons, politically, emotionally, isolation from the pandemic, from social distancing. So I think it's important to also harness this powerful playfulness that we kind of forget about, especially when we become adults, right? Because until we're in our teens, it's still like acceptable to be playful, and then later it's just like, oh, we need to like be serious and work, and I think that's unhealthy. I think we need to play and we need to have fun in order to achieve all of these higher mental states of understanding who we are in the world, of being able to advocate for ourselves, of understanding what we need, of understanding what other people need.
As I said, I kind of feel like everything is art, especially now as I'm moving through life and I see like the way that the wind blows in the trees. I'm like, that is art, like that is beautiful. And I feel kind of the same way about like advocacy. I don't see advocacy as like an add-on activity in my life. I see it as like a way of existing, and so I think that there's sort of a natural overlap there, just in like I feel like those are huge lenses with which I exist.
It's not about what you do for people, it's about how you make them feel. And I do this work because I want to make sure that people feel good, feel strong, feel powerful, and feel like everything is possible.